Hello and welcome back to part 10 of my TransAmerica Trail Adventure Across America series. In part 9, I finished out the Colorado section of the TAT, which bounced between freezing cold rain in the mountains and smoky hot temps in the valleys. I backtracked to Colorado Springs to pick up someone very special from the airport.
If I could do it all again, I would hold you. I'd never let you go.
My girlfriend, bless her heart, took a week off from work on her birthday to come visit me on the TAT. We got to enjoy all sorts of great food and sights as we checked out all Colorado Springs had to offer. But that's not why she came to visit me. She wanted to get in on the adventure as well. The next day, we loaded up the bike and hit the local Walmart to resupply for some camping, hiking, and general fun. Though we may have gotten a little wild and had some trouble fitting all the stuff, including us, on the bike, but we made it happen. We pulled into our campsite loaded down to the absolute max. I'm honestly surprised at how well the bike handled going up the mountain roads with easily 600 pounds of combined weight on it. We spent the next few days eating cake, hiking around the Garden of the Gods, whitewater rafting with some cool new people, and of course riding the motorcycle 2-up on Pikes Peak. We made sure to take lots of pics and vids of all the strange creatures we encountered while exploring this ginormous mountain. The days flew by as we were having so much fun together exploring this new and exciting state. But in what felt like the shortest amount of time ever, I was once again faced with saying goodbye to my girlfriend as I dropped her off at the airport and headed back to the TAT. Doing this a second time was very hard. The first time we said goodbye, I honestly had no idea how tough this trail was going to be, both physically and mentally. Knowing now the challenges and loneliness I was sure to encounter in the coming days was difficult to come to terms with, as I was only halfway through the country and still had many miles to cover. Just as I crossed the border into New Mexico, I decided to book a motel for the incoming storm that was set to hit later that evening. It rained all through the night, and I had no choice other than to throw on the rain gear and get after the day. The rain was relentless as I rode along the highway in attempts to reconnect with the TAT, though I kept it slow to prevent any further mishaps. Once I got back on the TAT, conditions were grim as the rain continued to pour on the already soaked mud, making for some very slippery and chaotic riding. I rode for hours as the mud continued to get worse and worse, until eventually I was unable to keep the bike under control as I sank and slid from side to side. Eventually I came to my senses and decided to throw in the towel. I was still roughly 2 hours away from any sort of civilization, and this was some of the stickiest mud I'd ever encountered, which you can see as I turn my knobbies into racing slicks. I turned around and looked for a way to connect to the pavement until I could find some rideable sections, which turned out to be a good call as all the mud that got caked between my skid plate and engine began to act as an amazing insulator, causing my bike to run hot despite the cold weather. I spent the next 20 minutes scraping mud and rocks out of my engine and brake calipers with a stick. The bike was running better, but I still wanted to err on the side of caution and get this puppy cleaned up properly. I crossed the border in Oklahoma and two nice gentlemen refused to let me pay for the car wash and instead insisted that I use the one they paid for, which I was very grateful for. Now squeaky clean and with the rain finally beginning to let up, I decided to use this opportunity to find a campground so I could dry off and make some grub. When I arrived at camp, I was greeted by a creature I'd never seen before, the beautiful and very loud cicada, which I'll admit took some getting used to while trying to sleep. The next morning I was greeted with even more little creatures, some more terrifying than others, like the spider for instance that was inside my boot with hundreds of its little babies on its back. Probably harmless though, right? I hopped on my bike in order to tackle the western portion or panhandle of Oklahoma, which was pretty barren with not much really to see off in the distance other than some farmland and the occasional windmill or house. Luckily, the trail was far less muddy and there was no rain in the foreseeable future. Welcome to Oklahoma, where there is nothing. As you can see, it is just plains as far as the eye can see. Thank you so much for watching part 10 of my TransAmerica Trail Adventure Across America series. You'll have to check out part 11 to see what secrets lie in the vast state that is Oklahoma. See you there, buddy.